Hello everybody and welcome back to another visual pattern challenge. Here's step 1, here's step 2, 3, 4, and your challenge is to predict the number of blocks in step 5. If you can do that, can you predict the number in step 43? And can you write an equation that could be used to predict the number of blocks in any step at all? So that's the challenge. If you'd like to accept it, pause the video and see what you can do. All right, so this is an odd one. Almost always our patterns have been ones that grow, and this one seems to be shrinking. So it's a little different. And I think we're gonna be able to predict step 5 accurately. Step 43, I have some questions about. So I'll pose them to you and ask you what you think, and we can come up with some possible answers. But let's start here by seeing if we can get some visual intuition about what's going on. I notice I've got this sort of, what is that, 2 by 6 chunk. So I'm going to think about this separately. So that's 2 by 6. And then these are 4. So this is a 3 by 4 chunk. And then here we've peeled off 4. So we subtracted that part of one of those lines away. And then we do the same thing here, right? So there was this, and there was this from the previous step. And then, yeah, it disappears. This last one disappears. That would have been from the previous step as well, and that disappears. So in step 5, I think we're going to have to take away another chunk of 4. And so I would imagine these would go as this continues to be eaten away from right to left here. So I would probably say you're going to have a 2 by 2 block down here, and then 4 blocks here, and nothing else left there. So how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4 is 8. So I think we're going to have 8 in step 5. Now let's go ahead and analyze the numbers so we can see what's going on here with this pattern, and then we'll talk about what you think about step 43, because I think your answer for that depends on how you look at this pattern. So I'm going to make a chart with the step number and the number of blocks. And in step 1, let's see, we've got 2 by 6 is 12 plus 3 by 4 is another 12, so that's 24. And in step 2, we peeled off 4, so that's 20. And in step 3, 16, because we peeled off another 4. And in step 4, that's going to be 12. And in step 5, we're saying 8. And you probably have jumped to this already, but our difference here, actually, I wrote a 4. I should write a negative 4. We are going down by 4 every step. So it is a constant though, so we know this is a linear pattern, and we can use the equation for a line to model that, and we'll put in our difference here, our change in every step for the slope. So y equals negative 4x, and our plus b, what is that going to be? Well, we can determine that by trying it out with step 1, and in step 1, if we put in 1 for x here for the step number, our total that we get is negative 4 blocks. Does that even make sense? Well, to get up to 24, we could just add a bigger number to get rid of that negative. We'd actually have to add 28. So negative 4 plus 28 is positive 24, and that's how many blocks there are. So our b in this case is a positive 28. Let's try that with another step to make sure it works. So here, y equals negative 4 times step 2 this time, plus 28. And negative 4 times 2 is negative 8, plus 28 is a positive 20. And that's how many we've got. You can check that again with step 3 and step 4, but I'm pretty confident in this equation. Y equals negative 4x plus 28. Now, usually to determine how many blocks there are in step 43, we'd just plug 43 in for x. So let's try that and see what we get. Negative 4 times 43 plus 28. So 4 times 43, that's 160 plus 12, negative 172 plus 28. Come on, pen. That's going to be a negative 144. So at this point, I have to ask, does that make sense? We have a pattern with blocks. is there such a thing as a negative block? So for example, let's say these blocks were, I don't know, bacteria in a petri dish that were being, in step one, they're treated with a certain amount of antibiotic, and in step two, they're treated with a certain amount more, and in step three, and we see there's this regular pattern of how many bacteria disappear. Once you get to zero bacteria, if you put more antibiotic on it, you don't get negative bacteria showing up, you just still have zero. So the question I have for you is the right answer for step 43 negative 144? Or is the right answer 0? I would love to hear from you about this. How did that go for you? Did you get 8 for step 5? Did you figure out that this was a linear pattern with a negative coefficient? And finally, what do you think about our answer? Is it negative 144 or is it 0? I'd love to hear from you. Thanks, everybody.